Bienvenidos, Ushamdid, and welcome Anne Arundel Community College learners for the Spring 2023 semester taking the CTS-233 Section 400 Network Programmability course. This is the Cisco Networking Academy's DEVASC 200-901 Certification Exam Preparation course. And in this video tutorial, we're going to take a little step outside of the box. We're going to look at artificial intelligence and specifically ChatGPT and how ChatGPT can aid and assist you as a learner in almost any course you're taking, but specifically in our course. So let's go ahead and open up our Firefox browser here. You can see the URL up above. It's chat.openai.com. And you can create a free account. You can see I've already run some tests over here, and we're going to talk about some of those. So how can artificial intelligence and specifically ChatGPT help you in our course? Well, maybe you're not too familiar with Python lists and how a Python list works. So we can just simply ask ChatGPT, hello, can you please give me some examples as to how I would use a list in the Python programming language? All right, and ChatGPT is going to give us some of those examples. And this is how easy it is to have ChatGPT assist you with Python. So it's going to tell us about how we can create a list. How do we access elements in the list? How do we modify the elements in a list? And one of the beautiful things here with ChatGPT is it gives us the code, and all we need to do here is copy that code. So if I was to copy that code, and let's pull up VS Code, and I'll basically say File, New Text File, and let's go ahead and paste in that code. Oops, sorry, I think I pasted it into the wrong spot there. I wanted to paste it in right down here. So let's go ahead and paste in that code, right? And having a problem pasting there. There we go. So we're going to paste in that code, right? So let's go ahead and we'll save our file here. So we'll say File, Save As, and we'll just call this ChatGPT-test001 or 0001.py. All right, well, let's go ahead and now run this without debugging and see what happens. It's going to give us our version of Python in the bash shell, and there is the result, right? So it's so easy to come in here and say, can you also give me some examples as to how I could use a Python dictionary? And so we'll come down here, and ChatGPT is again going to go ahead and show us how we would create a Python dictionary, and it's going to give us all of the code. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's awfully simple. Can ChatGPT do something a little bit more complicated? And the answer is yes. So I want you to watch this. Remember from Lab 1.3.3 when we were working with Python, and we had to do the challenge activity. And the challenge activity was basically asking us to create our own program. And our own program, specifically in part 7, that was supposed to open a file, and we were going to put a while loop in there. And so I want you to watch this. Can you please create for me a Python program that prompts the user for input, runs until the user tells the program to exit or quit, and then opens a text file for writing and places the user's input into, or I should say, we don't want to use the word place, I'll use the word append, and appends the user's input to that file. So let's see what ChatGPT comes back with when we talk about step number 4, the challenge activity in Lab 1.3.3. And take a look at what this is producing, right? So we get the name of a file, we have our while true, and look at what ChatGPT has been able to produce for us. Now, it even explains to us what the code that it has created is doing. So let me copy that code, and here's what we could do. We'll take a look at the virtual machine here and see what happens when we pull the virtual machine up. I'm going to type in here user-input.py. Again, I'm using the VI editor here to do this. You could do this in VS Code just as easily, but I like to use VI. And let's go ahead, let's delete that line, and now let's input, and it looks like it didn't like that copy, so let's make sure we get the copy. And we're going to go ahead and input that code, and it does not like the code being input the way we're doing it here. So let's delete the line, and let's see if we do the command and paste. There we go. So it didn't like the cloverleaf V on the Mac. Anyway, so here's where we're at. And there's our program. So let's run this program and see if it does exactly what we were doing in our program. So let's go ahead and quit. I'm going to say Python 3 and user-input.py. So enter some text or type exit or quit to exit. Okay, so I'll put in here Cisco 1941 router. And it's going to continue to ask me. Let's go Cisco 3560 switch. And when I'm done, right, it says type exit or quit. So I'll just go ahead and say quit. And it says exiting the program, the user input has been written to user_input.text. Well, let's check that out. Is that actually true? Did that happen? And there you go. So ChatGPT can handle some very complex scenarios, give you the answer or give you one of the possible answers so that you can then maybe take a look at this and kind of work your way through it. So ChatGPT can be very helpful. What about on the Linux front? Can you give me a series of examples of how to use the ls command in Linux with output samples?
One moment.
Oh, and it looks like Siri actually picked up on that, and we did not want that. All right, so ls tells you, it tells you what ls is going to do. So here's how you display the contents of the directory. And it is now going to go through and give you a whole host of examples as to how ls can be used. So again, ChatGPT is a phenomenal resource that exists to help you be successful, not just in our course, but in pretty much any programming course you might be taking. So I'm going to say stop generating because here's what I mean. Can you please generate the C programming code to say, hello world? And let's see if ChatGPT can give me the C code to print out hello world. Yep, there we go. The standard input-output header library. We've got our int main, the print statement, and that is it. And now it even tells us how we can compile that program in order to run it. And it gives us the command to do it. So again, ChatGPT is an amazing resource. If you haven't heard of it, or if you have heard of it but didn't know that it could do this, this is a great way to leverage this tool to learn programming or to learn Unix. Okay, or I should say Linux. All right, now one place where you need to be careful with ChatGPT and artificial intelligence is this request right here. So I asked it to create for me an IP subnetting table that went all the way down from /32 down to /8. Now you'll notice over here in the far right-hand column, it says usable IP addresses. Well, if you've done any subnetting, you know that it's not just 2 usable IPs. And it looks like this morning, it's still providing incorrect information for usable IP addresses. Now, it might be looking at the usable IP addresses as the broadcast domain, the broadcast address and the subnet ID. But again, those are not usable or assignable IP addresses. And so you can see that, yes, ChatGPT, it's given us a lot of great information here. However, that usable IP addresses column is not correct. But again, from a networking learner perspective, this is a great way to get some information around subnetting. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop it from generating, and let's say, how many usable IP addresses are there in a /24? Now, we know that in a /24, it gives us the dotted decimal notation, 256 addresses, so we should have 254. Now, this is what I thought was interesting, was it gives you the correct answer here, but it didn't when it put the table together. And again, it might be a formatting type issue. I just point this out to make sure that you're careful, and maybe you ask it a more specific question. If you see something that looks a little bit suspicious, and let's say in a let's do 17, because I don't know that off the top of my head, but it gives us the dotted decimal notation right away, 32,768 total addresses. We take away 2, and you've got 32,766. So again, you can see how whether it's networking or Linux or Python, and not just the basics, you can get very, very complicated with ChatGPT. You can really learn a lot. And so I just wanted to point this out as sort of a supplement to the course material that we've been covering so far, so that you can continue to use ChatGPT to assist you, not only in this course, but in pretty much any course you're going to take. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the course and learning a lot so far. And as always, I hope to see you in the next video.